everyone. Welcome to week 6 of data journalism. This week will be a fun week, a little bit lighter week than what we've had in weeks 3, 4, and 5, but we kind of put you through the paces. This week we're going to work with Google Flourish. We're going to do some of the basics with Flourish and some of the more advanced work. So your first thing will be to watch through this video. I'm going to ask you to pause the video right now and open up Flourish Studio, flourish.studio, and and log into it if you haven't already set up an account. Then I need you to set up an account there. That was part of your homework last week. So flourish.studio, open that up. Then open up our week 6 class folder, our schedule. And then open up this assignment right underneath it. The Google Flourish assignment will be due Friday, February 18th at noon. Shouldn't be too bad because you don't have to post it to Medium. You'll just post the little slideshow of graphics right to your Twitter and write a description with it. I've got a couple of, as homework, I've got a couple follow-up videos on using Google Flourish in case you run into any issues with it. So go ahead and pause the video right now and then we'll get started in just a minute. Okay, welcome back everybody. This is Google Flourish 101 here, and 102 I guess. We're going to do some more advanced stuff with it. By now you should have set up your Flourish Studio account. You should have opened this exercise. And we're going to do a little demo and hands-on work with some COVID-19 data. We're also going to create maybe a searchable database, an animated line chart. We're going to create like 2 or 3 graphics. And then I'm going to show you how to take those graphics and build them into a little slideshow, kind of like using Google Slides or PowerPoint, and create a little slideshow of your graphics. It's really good for building a portfolio too at the end of the semester of all the graphics you built. And link to it off your resume or your website or whatever. And if you get stuck again, there's a little video on how to build all this too. You can review these steps or just review the steps we do here because I'm going to walk you through it. So this is Google Flourish. If you've created an account, you can click on sign in up here. If not, hit get started for free or sign up. Set up the free account. This is a tool that Google bought from a company called Kiln, K-I-L-N, 5 years ago, back in 6 years ago now, back in 2016. When they first bought it, not too many people were using it because it just had a handful of templates, a couple bar charts, line charts. And tools like Data Wrapper have already been on the market for a number of years. Infogram, Venngage, many other tools. They're already doing a better job. But what Google soon learned was because they made this open-ended software and developers could go in and build templates, was they soon found that you could go in here and use nothing more than a spreadsheet to build cool animated graphics, things like this. This is the baseball steroid era home runs, a great home run race of the 1990s, before most of you were born. I actually covered the Cubs back at this time, Sammy Sosa in 1997. Left to go teach in 1998 when he and McGuire had the great home run race there, as you can see. And then Barry Bonds came along and broke the record in 2001. This looks very complex to build. And back in the day, you had to know, JavaScript, probably a little D3 library or some Python to build an animated chart like this. Now, all you need is a spreadsheet because in every template in Google Flourish, you can click on the Data tab, upload your own data set, much like you can do in Data Wrapper. But it gives you some dummy data. This is the real data, but it gives you dummy data in there that kind of shows you the template of how to build it. Very simple spreadsheet. Player's name, link to the player's photo, and then their year-by-year home run data. This could be, day-by-day COVID vaccines, day-by-day COVID positive cases, whatever you want. Over here, you select what columns go where. A is the player column. C through X is all of the data. We're not going to include Y because that's the totals for each player. We're just doing their year-by-year data here. So you can build this cool animated chart and then adjust the colors and all of the formatting over here. Every graphic you create, as I mentioned before, should have a headline and description. Should also have a footer with the link to the source and your credit. Excuse me. So that is the basics of how a Google Flourish graphic works. Anytime you need to get back to your home page, you just click on the little home button in the upper left-hand corner. I clicked on that. This is your home page. When you first log into Flourish, this is the page you go to. If you've created graphics in the past, maps, charts, various things, it'll show up in here. And you can just double click on them and open them. You can re-edit them. It auto-saves as you go, so you don't have to worry about hitting a save button, which is quite nice. Many of the Google tools, Google Maps, Google Trends, saves your work as it goes. So does Flourish. All of the action happens in Google Flourish under this plus sign up here, the new visualization. We'll get to new story in a minute. That's the slideshow. But for now, we're just going to go under new visualization. So if you click on that, and again, pause the video if you need to go through these steps. Here's all the templates in Google Flourish. As you can see, the basic ones are up here at the top: line chart, bar chart, pie chart, maps. You can do choropleth maps of all the U.S. counties, all the U.S. states, all the countries around the world. If you had COVID data and wanted to map, all of those areas, you could. Scatter plot charts, dot plot charts, all kinds of different maps, heat maps, city level 3D maps. We're actually going to build these in Data Wrapper later this semester. Emoji maps, if you want to put little emojis or photos as a little marker map. We're going to do some of this with Google My Maps and Data Wrapper a little later in the semester. But you've got the templates here. The animated line chart, this is what we built that baseball chart in. Photo slider, before and after. I'll show you some other tools that'll do that. Searchable database, if you want to put your database up, or your data set up, and just as a table or make it as a searchable database, you can. And I'll show you an example of one in a minute. The animated bar chart race, you can do country by country or state by state COVID data in here. Countdown tickers, if you want to do a countdown to the start of the World Cup or the start of the Olympics, or countdown to the end of the year, you can go in and build these in here. You don't even need a spreadsheet. You just have to type in the numbers. Parliament chart, if you want to show how the state legislature voted on something, or Congress or something, you can do that. Word clouds I'm not big on for data visualization, but if you were analyzing a speech and wanted to see which words were used the most, this is always interesting with Trump's speeches. You can see some really interesting word clouds on his speeches. They've just added this one, a little Gantt chart for a little project management tool. So there's all kinds of templates in here, and they're adding new ones all the time. During the Olympics last summer, they added a swimming one, so you can reenact the men's 100-meter freestyle. Athletics, you can do the women's 800-meter run, things like that. All you need are the split times, and you can drop them in there and add them in. So there's a lot of different types of charts here. And again, Google has studied how data sets are built. So you may see the data sets that you download, maybe if it's COVID data or something like that, oftentimes are already formatted to work in these templates. Here's an example of a couple students did at the end of 2020. They took a look at COVID data in Illinois. And they created a map. This is population, deaths, tests, and positive cases by zip code in Chicago. Pretty easy little build. But down here, they created what's called a slideshow of graphics, and we're going to create this today. You can play through, and they use the animated bar chart, pulled the data from the Centers for Disease Control, and they did state by state COVID data for the early part of the pandemic. This is March, April, May of 2020. It plays all the way through to the end of the year. All they had to add to this, the data came through clean. All they had to add to this was one column with all of the state flags in it. That's all they had to add to this. It's a very minor cleaning project. So the data was already formatted to work in this template. Okay. You can see here, California, Florida, and Texas by the summer had overtaken New York for cases. Here's an interesting one on global cases by country. See, China's way out in front, but look at what happens by the end of March, and the U.S. has never looked back. We have led the way in positive COVID cases. So those are a couple of ways that you can build graphics with these tools. And again, sometimes it doesn't take a lot of cleaning to do so. This is our Google Flourish assignment sheet. This is due Friday, February 18th at noon. You're just going to tweak the link to the UIC Digital hashtag with a description. Okay, you're going to write a couple of sentences with it. And you're going to build a slideshow of 3 Google Flourish graphics. Okay, and you're going to build that using either 3 data sets that I provide for you in this folder here, or you can create your own. Maybe you've got a data set that you know, or 2 that you want to create your own. So you can mix and match these. You can do 2 from the data sets we give you, or we can you can do your own. I've given you some exercises down here. We're going to walk through these. You're given step-by-step directions here on how to build the graphic, including the data set. These are real data sets; they're not fake. So you can download the data set here and build the chart. And then there's other ones here on COVID. We got our baseball one in here, which we're going to build in a minute as well. And so you can use any of these or do your own. I've got many others too in this folder up here. So you can go in and pull them out. Let me find them in the folder here. I'll show you where they're at in our week 6 folder. Flourish data sets right up here. And there's dozens of things in here. Olympic men's 100-meter freestyle final for swimming. Olympic women's 800-meter final. You can drop that into one of those templates, sports templates too. So I've got a bunch of others here, as well as our Chicago homicides data that we just did in Data Wrapper last week. So keep that one in mind too. You might want to try something different, but it's there for you if you need it. So let's build a chart in Google Flourish. First one we're going to do is just a simple line chart. Then we're going to do an animated chart. Weather, U.S. annual snowfall chart. Click on this first link here, open it up, and it will give you a data set of city snowfalls by year. It'll give you the year 2008 through 2018, and then snowfall totals in inches for Boston, Chicago, Minneapolis, and New York. Download them, hit the download button in the upper right. Then go into Google Flourish. We're going to do it just as a simple line chart. The line chart is the second one down on the right. Now, if they add a template, it might be in a different spot, but look for line chart. Double click on it. It'll open. It gives you the dummy data in here, just to kind of show you how the spreadsheet's laid out, years, and then each of your data columns, which matches the data set that I downloaded from the NOAA. Hit the upload button over here. Go into your downloads folder and go in and find your city snowfalls by year data. Hit import and next. In will pop your data. Everything in pink or purple is what will appear in the graphic. If not, it only went to column D here. It was missing column E. You'd have to change this from D to E. But anything in pink or purple up here is what will appear in your chart. And there it is. It looks kind of funky because you've got Boston with 108 inches of snow in 2015. Way to go, Boston. So there you go. We've got the makings, a start of a good chart here. But, you built a chart already. You know how this works. Scroll down to step 8. We've done the first 7 steps. Step 8. Copy total annual snowfall. It's going to be our headline, which will go in the upper left-hand corner up here as a working title. And it will also go down here where it says header. Okay. Right here where it says title, paste it in, hit return. It's got this little quirk in it that's been doing this. Hopefully it'll stop doing this by the time you get to it. Every time you put something in, it'll go back to this page. Just click back on preview and it'll be fine. So header, I can center it, make it centered there. I can change the styles by hitting this little button. Make it boldface. I can select a new color, fancy it up there. You can add a subtitle or you can just add text underneath it, a sentence or two. And you can find that here. And you can either put it in as a subtitle or as text. Either's fine. Sometimes you'll do all 3. I'll just drop this in as text, hit return. And there we go. Now we have a header and a description. Turn off the header menu and go to footer. Okay. Source name is the NOAA. That's where I got the data from. And the link to the NOAA is right here. I probably should have dug down and actually found the page that it came from, but still it's giving me the basics here. Hit return. This is really annoying that it's doing that. And I've got the source. I can make it flush right. Under note, and remember too, in it's byline in data wrapper, but it's note here. Just do graphic : Mike Riley, or your name, since you're creating a graphic. And there you go. Now you have a header, a footer, and a graphic chart. You have great control over what appears in this area. I can go into colors and change the color panel if I wanted to. If I don't like my line chart, I can go down here and select a different chart, which is a nice option. If I don't like it as a single chart, I actually do, but I can look at it as a grid of charts where it breaks all four apart individually. I kind of like it as a single chart. Also, too, if I wanted to turn off my little pop-ups here, when I hover over each one, it gives me a pop-up. If I want to turn that off, I can just disable it. No more pop-ups, but I like them. I'm going to keep them. I can turn off the legend if I wanted to, if I didn't want that on there for some reason. I want my legend on. You can add little annotations like you can in Data Wrapper. You can add little footnotes over here. I usually put it in the notes at the bottom or in the description. I don't like layering a lot of footnotes on top of the graphic unless it's absolutely necessary. Like here I might do one to explain Boston. And by the way, the Boston green was pure accident when I was doing the colors. It looks like the Celtics. I might add a footnote here explaining their crazy 2015. They had this weird ice storm that just dumped a bunch of layers of ice on top of the city. It actually encased cars in blocks of ice. It was absolutely crazy. But you have all these controls over here. You can increase the font size and colors of the X and Y axis, all kinds of stuff here that you can play around with. So now you've got your graphic in working order. Hit the export button. It'll ask you to publish. You'll hit publish again. Do not check the require password to open. You want to make it open to the public. Hit publish again. The minute this turns green, you are now live on the web. You can download a static image of this. You can also look at embed codes. You guys won't need this because all you need in Medium is a link. And we're not posting in Medium anyway, so it doesn't matter. Click on this little link up here at the top. You'll see what your graphic looks like on the live web. People can share it, embed it. There's your working title. There's your graphic. So if I do want to post this in Medium, I'm not going to here. I just grab the link, go to Medium, start a post. But for your assignment, you're just going to share it straight to Twitter. Paste the link and hit return. Be patient. And bingo, you've got a nice chart. Okay. So let's say we're creating a story that has several charts. And we don't really have room in our story to create. I've clicked on the home button here, went back to my home page. And I've got a bunch of graphics, and I don't want to pile them all on top of each other in the story. It's better to do it as a slideshow, like I showed you here, where you can just slide through them. They did 3 graphics here. It would have looked silly just to stack them all on top of each other. Okay, so by creating a slideshow, it gives you a little different layer to it. To create a slideshow, all you do is create your graphics first. So I've got some graphics here. Hit New Story. And choose a visualization. I'm going to do my snowfall chart. Down in the lower left, just hit new slide. This works just like Google Slides. They totally ripped this off from Google Slides and PowerPoint. And then I'll go in and I'll add my baseball steroids chart that I built. Hit new slide. And I'll add a different one. Let's find a different chart. COVID cases by ethnicity. This is a line chart. You actually have the data for this. It's the early days of the pandemic. Hit export, publish, publish. Go look at it on the live web. And now I've got a nice little slideshow of my graphics. Pretty cool. Easy embed into Medium. And these just look dynamite. Now I've got a little slideshow. Once I publish, I'd add my tags in here. Now I've got a little slideshow of graphics embedded into my story. Okay, so what we're going to have you do is on this assignment, you've created one graphic already. You've done this little snowfall chart. We've got some others. The COVID cases by ethnicity that I just showed you in that slideshow. Top tech company by employment, employment by race. It's a group bar chart. This one's a little more complex. The baseball one's down here. You know, Bonds, Sosa, McGuire, season home runs. It's got all the text, all the written steps here for you. You can always replay this video or some of my other training videos to see, or you can go look through some of these other data sets up here as well. So that is Google Flourish. Again, the assignment is due Friday, February 18th at noon. All you do, you don't post it to Medium, you just post your slideshow link with a description and the UIC digital hashtag to your Twitter and tweet it out, and I'll grade it and give you feedback. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. We're going to play a lot with Google Flourish as the semester goes along. We're going to visit it again next week when we do sports graphics. I'll show you how to do a database, things like that in it. It's a really good skill to have. So do take some time and master Google Flourish, because it's an important tool that you'll use this semester. That's all for now. Good luck.